All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about social engineering tonight, and I think that this is something that we all have done at one point or another, even if we're not getting paid for it. And this is a pretty interesting domain. So we're gonna play around a little bit with some ideas, and then maybe a couple tools. So really, what is social engineering? For our particular uh, conversation here, well, we want to figure out who in your organization is susceptible to being a target, perhaps. And if you've not seen the movie Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks, that's a pretty good movie. And Leonardo DiCaprio is he's a expert at um, creating fake stuff and becoming fake people. He was a doctor. He's an airplane pilot. It's fantastic, actually, if you've never seen it. But if you try to just, we call it here in the Tennessee Valley, a little bit of Southern charm, right? So if we use Southern charm, if we're just nice about uh, what we're trying to get, then a lot of times people will bend over backwards to try to do what they can to help us. And it's quite interesting. I remember at one of my employers, they a large financial company. They would say uh, service first, and the customer is always right. So you would just try to bend over backwards for the customer, and um, now I think that you still try to as best as you possibly can because if without customers you wouldn't be in business. But in the same sense, you got to be careful because it starts to cross a line somewhere, and social engineering is very, very effective. So we'll talk about some of the different things. So another movie, if you've not seen it before, is Fletch. Fletch is with Chevy Chase, and it's pretty funny. And you can go and rent that on Netflix or probably view it on Prime, Amazon Prime. But he's a master. He pretends like he's the bug guy. He pretends like he's uh, a Laker, Los Angeles Laker, and a bum underneath the beach. But really, it's a pretty interesting movie with some of the comedy that transpires. But in the spirit of that, really, human-based social engineering is what it's about. And the one that I'm most familiar with is the technical support example. And that one's kind of clever. You pretend like you're the help desk and you want to verify somebody's password, or just come up with something creative that hopefully somebody will give you more information than you're supposed to get. Um, the authority support example seems to a lot of times work. You call up and you start throwing your trump card down, saying, "Hey, do you have any idea who I am? Who's your boss? Let me talk to your boss." Um, and start being an ass on the phone. I think that uh, unfortunately that does work as well. But probably the tried and true one that we consistently see very, very effective is this dumpster diving. This is probably the most effective one that we've seen, and continues to be the most effective one. Um, because of obvious reasons. If people are not shredding stuff and throwing away interesting things, then that's very successful. So that's the human based. On the computer side of the house, there's phishing and pop-ups, and we're going to show you a couple of those here in a second. So obviously, phishing is. Um, I got a couple of neat examples for both of these, but phishing is trying to solicit something to somebody via email, and then pop-up is obviously what the name says. So this right here is something that the data loss prevention, insider threat, and the like is continually I think I talked about this last time too. If you guys have any ideas on ways to catch insider attack with disgruntled employees, that is a big deal right now. I mean, it's the case of Bradley Manning and going back all the way to early times of the United States with Benedict Arnold. It's been a huge, uh, and the insider threat is a big deal. Um, so keep that in mind whenever you're going through and actually looking at some of this stuff here. All right. So the impersonation of social networking sites. I actually, um, about 8 years ago, I did a presentation, and it was "Can We Be Friends?" is the name of it. You can look it up on the internet. I know that people have taken it and called it their own, but I wrote some code to tap into the Facebook API and created some fictitious people out there on Facebook, and then started gathering metrics on various things. And uh, it was quite interesting how naive people are to just accept friend requests, or at least back then they were. Um, and for me, it was just more of a proof of concept to see, if I could, connect via the Facebook API and then, go in and find everybody's information. And it was quite interesting for me. But you do an impersonation. I'm sure that you have friends out there that have um, a very flattering picture of them on Facebook or LinkedIn, that if they're 50 years old, maybe it's when they were 35, or if they're 280 pounds, maybe it was when they're 210 pounds. So they're impersonating a little right there, but and then the sense of this and the spirit of this, it's more on you're actually pretending like you're somebody else. And I don't know about you guys, but I get probably 15 or 20 emails a week about new opportunities for information security, whether that's, you know, some here in town or all over the country. And a lot of them I don't even follow up on just because I'm not interested in moving. But some of them you can tell that people are just trying to get some information off of you. So, one of the things that you need to take into account here is, um, and I'm just going to show you some of these right here. So here is an example of a fake login screen. So this is on my local host here, okay? And this says Yahoo Mail. And somebody went through and took the time to actually craft this thing. They even put a pleasant looking person on here. But if you went and actually looked at the Yahoo Mail website, it would look exactly like this one right here. So that's quite clever. And good. I bet you there's a good chance that people would actually click on that. But if you take a look at this one, and I'll bring up the Amazon.com page as well. All right, so this is an email. It says, "Dear Amazon member, it has come to our attention that your Amazon order is out of date, blah, blah, blah." And then over here, you can see it takes you to a fake website. See the IP address up here? Register Amazon. I mean, this is their web. This is exactly what their web interface looks like. So somebody spent the time to use a tool to either craft this or took the time to um, pay attention to details, because that's a pretty close phishing example there. And some of the different types of attacks that we have, there's the fake address bars, there's hidden frames inside. Um, Let me just show you a couple other things. So I've seen some Hotmail come through, and if you come to one of the in-person classes, I'll go through a couple of these with you. But one of them that you can actually see here is this is Microsoft, and it comes through and pretends like it's Microsoft support, which is kind of neat. And there's a few others here, bogus email. But the one that you probably have heard of before is this guy, Kevin Mitnick. And what we'll do is we'll just spin this up real quick and we can watch this video. Because this guy is, if you've never, I'm sure that you have heard of him before, but he's been to jail for a little while, and he's done his time though, and now he charges $10,000 per speaking engagement, and has his own company that he runs, where he goes and does penetration testing and vulnerability assessments on networks. So, and he's revered all throughout the world. People try to get him left and right to come and speak, and it's quite interesting that he charges as much as he does. Let me see if I can get this thing to work.